The town of Minden, Nevada, early 2008. This was a place where time flowed at a measured and predictable pace, and events rarely deviated from the ordinary. In this quiet corner of the United States lived Ben Oxley, a man whose life was entirely focused on his 6-year-old daughter, Alyssa. After a difficult and emotionally draining divorce from Don Oxley, Ben set out to build for Alyssa the most stable, safe, and loving world possible. He was more than just a father. He was her best friend, her rock, and her protector. Their bond was extraordinarily strong. Ben never missed an opportunity to spend time with his daughter, whether it was a simple walk or a special event. One such unforgettable moment was the father-daughter dance on Valentine's Day. To the tune of Butterfly Kisses, Ben twirled Alyssa around the dance floor, promising to always be there for her. This dance was not just a holiday tradition, it became a symbol of his boundless, unconditional love and his unbreakable promise. He was really her best friend, and he was the best dad. All he cared about was Alyssa. That was his priority. Taking care of her, Melissa recalled. Alyssa herself said, "Everyone said he loved me most in the world, and I think it's true." However, Ben, in addition to caring for his daughter, was also seeking personal happiness. His path led him to Melissa. From the moment they met, a spark ignited between them. Their relationship developed rapidly, but Ben understood one thing clearly. If Melissa was to enter his life, she would also have to become a part of Alyssa's life. Therefore, on their first date, Ben brought Alyssa along. "Our first date. Alyssa was there," Melissa remembered. The girl's reaction was quite predictable for a child accustomed to her father's undivided attention. Alyssa was like, "Don't talk to my dad." I remember meeting her. At first, I didn't really like her, but Melissa did not insist or rush things. Instead, she showed exceptional patience, building a relationship with the little girl step by step, based on care, understanding, and attention. On September 17, 2006, Ben and Melissa stood at the altar. Their wedding was not only their celebration but also a celebration for Alyssa. In a touching moment, Melissa knelt down and fastened a delicate bracelet on Alyssa's tiny wrist. Engraved on it was a promise that she would always love her as her own daughter, letting her know that "I'm always going to love her as my own," Melissa said. From that day on, they were not just a couple, they were a family. Soon after the wedding, through a court order, Ben and Melissa gained full custody of Alyssa. Ben's ex-wife, Dawn Oxley, was completely removed from raising their daughter. Melissa's younger brother, Craig, who was 17 at the time, also lived in their home. For the first time in many years, Ben, Melissa, and Alyssa lived the life they had always dreamed of. A happy father, a devoted stepmother, and a bright young girl who had finally found the stability she so desperately needed. They had no idea that in just 2 years, their idol would crumble. Beneath the outwardly prosperous facade of their family, tensions and secrets were brewing that none of them could foresee. Waking into a nightmare. The murder of February 21, 2008. It was the early morning of February 21, 2008. At 3:30 in the morning, the phone at the Nevada Police Department rang, relaying an urgent call from the Oxley home. Melissa Oxley's voice was almost unrecognizable, trembling, full of panic and terror. "I need 911, very, very urgent. I was asleep. I turned on the light to wake my husband, but he was very, very bad," she told the operator. She reported that she had just woken up in bed next to her husband, Ben Oxley, and found him dead. His head had been literally blown up by a shotgun blast. Melissa herself was completely covered in his blood but remained physically unharmed. The most striking and frightening thing for her was that she had no idea what had happened and had heard nothing. The operator quickly dispatched police units to the scene, continuing to question Melissa. "Did he wake up?" the operator asked. "No, he's dead. He's dead," Melissa replied. "So you think someone came in and shot him?" The operator clarified. "Yes," Melissa confirmed. "Where's your husband?" the operator asked. "Oh, yeah, I'm tired. I'm so tired. Who are you talking to right now?" Melissa asked. "My daughter. Just stay in the bedroom with your daughter, okay?" the operator advised. Melissa was in a state of deep shock. Next to her stood Alyssa, crying and desperately asking to see her father. "But I want to see Daddy! I want to see Daddy!" the girl sobbed. Melissa could not allow it. "I just told her, you can't. You can't go see Daddy," she recalled. Suddenly, Melissa heard a noise from outside the room. She immediately reported it to the dispatcher, fearing that the intruder might still be in the house. "Okay. While I'm talking to you, my partner's sending units. Okay?" the operator said. "We're dispatching Code 3 with lights and sirens immediately, going as fast as we can to get to the scene." When the police arrived at the Oxley home, the front door was wide open, immediately raising an alarm. Officers cautiously entered the empty hall. Inside, it was completely dark, all the lights were off, and the only thing breaking the dead silence was their own breathing. I thought, am I going to see a deceased person? Or am I going to meet someone with a gun pointed at me? One of the officers recounted. The police silently advanced through the house, heading towards the first bedroom. Peering inside, they saw a dark figure lying in bed, completely covered by blankets and motionless. We yelled, "Sheriff's office! Show us your hands!" several times, but got no response from the person who was in the bed under the blankets, the detective recalled. Suddenly, a young man emerged from under the blankets, seemingly waking from a deep sleep, raising his hands. In a panic, he told the police, who had their weapons drawn, that his name was Craig. 17-year-old Craig was Melissa's younger brother and was living with the family at the time. At that point, my attention shifted to the hallway and I saw Melissa. She was standing there, she had blood on her clothes, and there was a look of shock on her face, the officer said. Melissa stood in the hallway with a phone in one hand and Alyssa in the other. Police quickly checked the other rooms in the house, finding no one except Ben Oxley's body in the master bedroom. I could tell it was a shotgun wound to the back of the head. It appeared when I did the initial investigation that he was sleeping when he was murdered, the detective said. The absence of forced entry, broken windows, forced doors immediately led investigators to believe that the killer was not an outsider. Most likely it was someone who lived in the house, Melissa or her teenage brother, Craig. They were immediately taken to the police station for questioning, and little Alyssa was separated from her stepmother. Police did everything possible to ensure her safety, but at 6 years old, she could not comprehend the magnitude of what had happened. She did not yet understand that she would never again see her loving father, her closest friend. A labyrinth of suspicions. Melissa and Craig under scrutiny. The search for the culprit in Ben Oxley's murder led inevitably to suspicions centering on Craig, Melissa's brother. During a search of his bedroom, 2 shotgun shell casings were found on his nightstand. These rounds belonged to him. Craig was known as an avid hunter, well-versed in firearms, and had access to a shotgun. And Ben Oxley had been killed by a shotgun. Craig had duck hunting gear, he was an avid hunter, and a person knowledgeable with firearms. Ben Oxley was shot with a shotgun. That was very suspicious, the investigator noted. However, despite the casings on his nightstand, Craig categorically claimed that he had been asleep until the police arrived. "I was really tired, I swear. I was really sound asleep. Even when I got there, I didn't even know what was going on," he insisted. "He didn't hear anything?" the detective asked. "No, my doors were closed," Craig replied. "Did you kill Ben?" A direct question from the detective. "I didn't kill him," Craig replied. Investigators were not convinced by his story, but the results of a gunshot residue test yielded a stunning result. No gunpowder residue was found on his hands, indicating a lack of evidence that he had fired a weapon. He was, as he claimed, in his room and asleep during the murder. Thus, the focus of the investigation shifted. Now all eyes were on Melissa. "Why would someone shoot him? And I don't see anything," she repeated. "I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes people know more than they want to tell. And I really don't know anything. It's a horrible feeling when a guy you love is dead in your bed. It's kind of intuitive to your thought process when you see that she's covered in blood but unharmed. She's telling me a story. I obviously want to know the truth, but is it really the truth?" Because how can you be in immediate proximity to someone who was murdered and not be involved? The detectives pondered. Melissa quickly became their primary suspect. She insisted she knew nothing about her husband's death, but the detectives didn't believe her. How could she sleep right next to him and not notice anything? To them, she was the only lead. But at this point, they had no evidence.
Continue to you understand, change, see what's what, and try to completely eliminate you and Craig, so we keep working on those other persons. So I have a couple of just some basic questions. First of all, you remember your Miranda rights and all that I read to you. You understand? You understand that you want to keep talking right now, you can have your own free will. Do you guys have a life insurance policy?
Yeah.
What is it a large amount? What is it?
I don't know how much it is.
Everybody, paints you guys as a model couple. And like I said, I'm just gonna keep trying to talk you through it so you can just keep going. So, obviously couples argue.
We don't.
You never argue?
We didn't.
Never argued at all? How did you solve your differences?
We didn't have many.
Correct me if I'm trying to remember. What?
We just talked. Okay. We never yelled at each other.
You guys, did you date prior? You've been married a year and a half approximately, you said?
Yeah. We've been almost 4.
And almost together 4. So it's been 4 years you've been together.
During that custody battle, did you ever get stressed out or angry or lose control?
Frustrated.
Frustration is normal. It's a very tense situation, so that's not really a big deal.
Yeah. No.
How's finances in your house right now?
Fine. We have our bills, but we're not in debt, and we were trying to get them all paid off this year. That was our goal, to buy a house.
Mm-hmm. So there's not a tremendous amount of debt.
Not at all.
Okay, I need to talk about some evidence things real fast. Okay? This being your bed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll say the pillows are here.
Mm-hmm.
Where were you sleeping? Okay. And where was Ben? We'll say. How close to you?
Pretty semi-close. I think my face was facing his, so my face was here, and he was there.
So what would you say this distance was? And a guess.
1 inch, 2 inches, I guess. I don't know.
Do you guys usually sleep where you're kind of cuddling, touching?
No. Normally we sleep back to back.
Back to back?
Well, because I fall asleep first, and I'm always comfortable on that side because I have back problems.
But you guys sleep close together, though?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what were you wearing when you went to bed?
What you saw me in.
Okay. How was the blankets? I know you had the Giants blanket on you.
I have no idea.
On your face, do you...
Yeah, normally here.
Okay.
Chest, arms, Ben always kicks them down off the end of the bed, and that's why I have my Giants blanket. And I always have that because him and Alyssa don't sleep with blankets on.
I'm going to go over some stuff. You said you got up about 2 o'clock?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know it was 2?
Because I remember looking at a clock or seeing a clock, and then in the bed everything was fine, and then I remember hearing ruckus in the kitchen a little bit, thinking it was just a cat, and going back to bed, and then that sound, I remember hearing a gunshot. I didn't know it was a gunshot, but just a loud noise, and then I thought I was dreaming, but then my ear was ringing, and I'm am I dreaming? And then I started smelling the gun smoke, and that's what made me wake up and Ben, are you there? Something I remember hitting me on the head.
What do you mean?
Something hit me. I don't know if it was a system. I don't know. No. Craig made us dinner on the couch, and I don't remember being I fell asleep. I remember Ben trying to wake me up and say, "Hey, babe, come to bed." I just fell asleep, and I'm tired. Working 2 jobs is not
Double wins.
easy.
You got up at 2. When you got into bed, did you kiss Ben goodnight? Did you talk to him at all?
No.
Did you look at him at all? Do you remember, did he look fine to
Yeah. Yeah.
He wasn't injured in any way?
No.
Okay.
Because I snuggled up next to him,
Right.
pulled closer, and I must have and that's why I think I didn't move and turn over to my side like I normally would, because I was already sleeping and had just gone in there and fell back asleep.
You said you heard some noise in the kitchen. You described it as kind of randomly.
It sounds it sounded like pots or pans, or I was oh, the cats are jumping over the sink, and that's what I thought, dishes or them knocking a plant down, because that's all very normal.
From that time that you heard that noise to when you heard the gunshot, had you gone back to sleep, or was it?
Yeah.
So you don't know what the time delay was or the difference. But you think you got back to sleep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know it was. Because I woke up thinking I was dreaming.
I have some dynamic problems, okay? I understand that I don't work off of people's emotions. I don't work off of passion. I have to work off of evidence. That's how we work. What I'm seeing, and I have to confront you on some things to make sure I understand what's going on, is first of all, is that at this range, in the amount of blood that came out, you don't have any on you. Okay, there should have been some amounts of blood on you.
And that's what's weird. So I got up, I heard those noises, and I got up and I went out. Okay. On my own. And at that time I remember looking at Ben, he was fine. I just shook him. Didn't see anything. And it was still dark enough. So I have no idea. So I went out there and then I came back and that's when I was like, babe, I tried going over to the side and I kneeled on the bed and I was like, babe, you're throwing up. I was like, babe, you're getting sick. Because that's what I saw in the dark. That's when I heard gurgling. And that's when I saw stuff coming out and then I went and turned on the light and realized what had happened.
Another problem, okay, if this is the wall, okay, here's your nightstand, is that the angle trajectory of everything, there is little pellets, okay, at the level that should have struck you. And I don't understand why.
I normally am lower than Ben, playing in bed. He always has pillows and I lie pretty flat, and if anything I have normally a little purple pillow.
Okay.
It's smaller. I do remember something hitting me, but I don't know. I don't know.
Another problem I'm having is you're closed. There's a difference between when something lands on you and makes a mark and when there's a pool and you lay in something. Can you understand what I'm saying? It soaks. Your clothes and everything have appearance of something that you laid in, like you laid down into the blood, as opposed to it being cast upon you.
Well, when I got up, there wasn't anything on me. I don't think anything got on me until I came back to get him when I walked down the hall, and it didn't come out. I don't know.
How do you?
And I kneeled down on the bed,
okay.
I thought he was puking. And then I came back over here, turned on the light, and looked this way.
Okay, now your handprint is right here on his back, like you told me, shaking him.
Mm-hmm.
From this position. So you shook him from here?
Yeah, but I also there should be one on his shoulder, facing me.
And again, I have to clear these things up. Another thing I don't understand is why, if somebody shoots him, okay, and I understand this is a concussion of some kind and woke you up, why did you not hear, or why did you not see anything? Like you hear somebody run down the hallway, or a shadow, or a car drive away.
I didn't go all the way out there, but I don't know. I honestly don't know.
That's okay. I'm just trying to find these questions I have. What did you hear besides the gunshot?
That's all I heard.
Another issue I got is the rounds that got him were rounds that are in the house. The same type of what looks to be number 8 birdshot shotgun rounds. You see why I'm concerned a little bit?
And I do, but I don't touch guns. I haven't.
For how long?
Since hunting, or not hunting, but target shooting with my dad 3 Thanksgivings ago.
And I need your continued help to help me get over these hurdles, okay?
You're doing really good, Melissa. You're doing really good.
Because they're not easy, but I have to do the right thing for him, for you, and this county, okay? And I really need you to tell me the truth.
I don't know.
Okay. Sometimes people's involvement goes beyond just. It doesn't mean you didn't pull the trigger, but sometimes people know more than they want to tell or share. And I really need it all.
I honestly don't know. And I just don't see my brother doing it. He's the one that does the guns, but I just don't. He's not. I have no idea. No idea.
You see, and the problem's they're there as if you're just a random murder. Why don't they take you out? I mean, you're right there.
That's what I thought.
You're a
That's
witness.
why my only thing is like done for them, because her vendetta was with Ben.
But why
Didn't they take out any of the rest of it?
Exactly. Why did they leave a witness right there who was facing them when they pulled the trigger?
I was so asleep, like I sleep sound.
Well, I'm not saying it from your standpoint, from their standpoint.
I don't know.
Why are they going to leave you there? Unless it's somebody that cares about you. Dawn doesn't care about you. Her boyfriend that she has doesn't care about you. Your explanations are okay?
I don't know what to tell you.
Just the truth is all I'm hoping you're giving me.
Oh,
Because, like I said, in this point in this job...
I know it doesn't make sense to you, but it doesn't make sense to me either.
Not necessarily a huge bad thing, but it's stuff that I have to...
It's the worst feeling thinking that you're going to blame for your husband.
Melissa, understand that I'm not blaming you. I'm asking you to help me solve the problems and the questions I have. Okay?
So think of the evidence that Ron's talking about the scene as a math problem.
Yeah.
And it's just not adding up. And so we're just trying to figure out possibilities. That's all. We're not blaming you. We're not saying you did this. We're just asking for you to help us figure out what may have happened. Because we have to follow the evidence.
And when you are more calm, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, we'll probably ask you to still take a polygraph just to keep putting those, I keep beating those hurdles over, I keep putting them aside, I keep going, okay, this one's done, Craig's done. And I guarantee we will find who did this. And I will be honest with you. If it isn't, Melissa, listen, I know you're upset, but you gotta listen a little bit too. We will find out who did this. And the idea is to get there as fast as we can. But I will tell you that if you had some involvement, I'm just going to tell you, we're going to find it out. And I really don't want to have to go through those problems with you later. That's why we keep doing this over and over to make sure that we know for sure that you're...
I know, I'm sure. It has nothing to do with it.
And please don't take this as not, trying to be mean to you or anything. It's not that. It's trying to make sure the right thing is done for you. Okay, and that's the focus here, is about Ben. Just as he would be here fighting for you if it was in reverse roles.
That's why I'm here.
I know you are.
Anything else with Dawn that you maybe have thought of? Or anyone else? Any other problems that we can start looking into? Like my partner said early on, who we've talked to, painted a very nice picture of you guys. You're respected a lot by your friends. So we're looking at every angle, and we're turning over every stone. Everyone's getting examined like this. So it is nothing personal. We're just trying to be very thorough with this. I really appreciate your cooperation and you coming down. I know this is so hard. Worst day of your life, and you're doing really good helping us out. We appreciate it.
No solid clues to arrest her or anyone else. However, the detectives didn't suspect that in the room next to the murder scene, a little girl was not asleep as she should have been. In fact, she was the only one in the house who saw something extremely important that night. At this point, the investigation had reached a complete dead end. The police had no physical evidence pointing to Craig as the killer, nor solid proof of Melissa's involvement in her husband's death. Investigators were forced to release both suspects. However, then the police discovered a life insurance policy Ben had left behind, worth $400,000. All of this money was to go to Melissa in the event of his death. Although Melissa claimed she knew nothing about the policy, it looked like a smoking gun, especially to Ben's family, who found it highly plausible that Melissa killed her husband for a large payout. Rumors spread like wildfire. Now, the entire town was scrutinizing this newly widowed woman, and everyone had their own theories about how she escaped a murder charge. Everyone in town just assumed that his wife killed him while he was sleeping. She's the perpetrator of the crime. She's the wife. She was lying in bed with him. It makes no sense that she wouldn't have been shot, people said. As the investigation continued, to protect the little girl, a judge returned Alyssa to her biological mother, Ben's ex-wife, Dawn Oxley. Alyssa found herself in a family she knew little about, now living with her biological mother, Dawn, Dawn's new boyfriend, James, and her other children. But despite returning to her biological mother, the little girl desperately missed her stepmother, Melissa. 6-year-old Alyssa was experiencing sudden grief and sadness from the loss of her father, the man who had always been there for her, who cared for her, supported her, and sacrificed everything for her. His daughter was his priority. Alyssa was everything to him. Close relatives recalled, he was such a joyful, fun, loving father. He pushed himself to be the best he could be for Alyssa. All Alyssa wanted was for everything to go back to normal, for her dad and stepmom to be there. But, separated from Melissa in her new home, the little girl was exposed to all the dirty rumors and accusations leveled against her stepmother. Everyone around her spoke of her father's killer, and everyone pointed fingers at Melissa, especially her mother, Dawn. She told me that she thought my stepmom killed my dad that night, Alyssa recalled. Yeah, I didn't believe it, but... The 6-year-old girl was the only one who believed in Melissa's innocence, even though they were kept apart. Despite what others said, Alyssa trusted herself. The love she had experienced and the happy times spent with her father and stepmother were real. What she was able to tell the detectives was something no one had been able to confirm until now. I woke up because the front door creaked.
Alyssa, how old are you?
6.
So, Alyssa, you told me in the bedroom. Can you tell me again what you told me about last night?
Well, I was just fast asleep. My mom, I saw her woke. I just heard this noise, talking and stuff, and I was fast asleep when my mom heard the shot on my dad, and I just woke up when she turned on the light, and I heard that someone shot my dad.
Okay. What did you hear, though? Instead of what you heard people say, did you hear anything?
Don't think about what I was telling 911. Did you hear anything?
I heard...
Did you hear anybody walk or anything?
I think I heard a little creak at the door.
Okay. Did you see anybody?
No, I was just fast asleep, but I woke up and heard this creak at the front door. I heard it, and I just looked out, and I saw someone walking in, and then I just went back.
Do you know who they were?
I don't know who it was.
Male or female?
I don't know who it was, and after that, I just saw my mom coming in, and blood was all over her.
Okay. You're pretty smart. Do you know your date of birth, when you were born?
What?
You know when you were born? Your birthday?
August.
Wow, that is good.
2001.
Anything you want to talk to me about? Any questions?
Got more bacon?
There's plenty of bacon and lots of French toast.
Yeah, we're talking.
I'm going to be joining you here in a minute. You go with my partner, go back outside, we'll sit with Craig. Thank you. She's cute.
That's crazy if she saw it. That was scary.
What we're going to do is we're going to try to keep you guys here for a while, just because there's a lot of reasons. You know, I was talking to Craig, and I'm going to ask you some questions again that I don't think you're going to want me to ask you, but I have to ask him. Craig, I'm going to go with the most logical thing.
Okay.
He owns a shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's what's used. Is there any reason that he would have, I mean, I don't mean he doesn't have to hate him, but to have that type of mentality of, I want to shoot somebody, see what it's like.
Ben was like a father figure to him. Our dad's not really in the picture. Craig's been living with us the last year and a half.
And I just don't know because I don't have a why. I mean, obviously you didn't do it. Obviously Craig didn't do it.
It's a jealous ex-wife.
I understand we're working that.
Craig has the softest, gentlest heart.
We have to eliminate all the possibilities to find the possible.
I understand your job, but
Okay.
I don't even know what to tell you.
Anyone at work that's been hitting on you or...
I work with all guys, so that's hard to say because in my profession, I've had from the day I've ever started there, it's always been, I always get harassed. You know, like, sexually,
Anything that you see?
like just, it's a common thing. Like, it's them joking around, it's them whatever, but there's no one ever that's been, like, serious.
Okay, so
Ever.
nothing recent people that have been, like,
No, and most
creepy?
of them all married.
Okay.
They all love Ben. Ben did side jobs on all their houses.
Try and forget about what you saw versus what you remember.
Good.
I know.
It was the
I don't want her to go to her mom. It's so dangerous there.
Let's get you to your friends, let you heal a little bit.
Alyssa's testimony was a bombshell for the detectives' theories about Melissa, and they began to re-examine everyone who might have been in conflict with Ben. But they didn't realize that the real killer had been right under their noses all along. After Ben's death, Dawn finally got her daughter back from her ex-husband, something she had always wanted since the divorce several years earlier. Thinking it was time to start a new life with little Alyssa, Dawn had no idea that detectives were actively investigating her, and soon they discovered that Dawn was far from the mother any daughter hopes for. In fact, Dawn had a history of neglect and inability to provide for her daughter. She was seeing a guy, and she was spending the night at his house. I mean, when her kids are calling us saying, "We don't have food at home, can you bring us food?" That's a problem, the investigator recalled. Detectives began to dig into Dawn's long history, her numerous jail stints due to drug addiction, which, as it turned out, was precisely why she had lost custody of Alyssa to Ben during the divorce. The child custody dispute between Ben and Dawn weighed heavily on Dawn. She took it very personally, the detective recounted. Unlike the happy family environment Alyssa had with her father and stepmother, she now had to face her mother's struggles with drug and alcohol addiction, petty crimes, and neglect again. Investigators invited Dawn for questioning, trying to determine if she had any connection to Ben's murder and to establish her whereabouts on the night of the killing. She claimed she was at home the entire time, and that's all she knew. Well, who was at home? Well, my son Devin and James is my best friend's son. He hangs out a lot. He's that 430 guy who loves his friends. James was just as boisterous with me. He made me come downstairs, Dawn recounted. Are you romantically involved with James? The detective asked. No, I just feel like they're friends. When Dawn told investigators that James Matt Lane was her new friend, they soon discovered that he had a long history of being in and out of jail, and had recently been living with Dawn for some time. On the night of Ben's murder, he claimed he was watching a movie with Dawn at home. While this sounded like a perfect alibi, something bothered the detectives. We started bringing James Matt Lane and then Dawn Oxley to the forefront of our investigation because we felt like they had something to do with it. We just didn't know what, the detective admitted. Now, James was brought to the police station for questioning. He sat across from the detectives in a small room. The questions began revolving around one thing: his possible connection to Ben Oxley's murder. Is this real, Ben? The detective asked. No, James replied. Do I know who killed Ben? Number. Did Dawn kill Ben? Number. Do I know anything about the murder? Number. Were you involved in any way with planning to have a person killed? Number. I'm looking you in the eye. I didn't kill him? I had nothing to do with it? James insisted on his innocence. There was no physical evidence, nothing to prove their guilt, and both adamantly denied any involvement. But time was passing, and if James or Dawn were involved in Ben Oxley's murder, 6-year-old Alyssa was in great danger. Alyssa desperately hoped to reunite with her stepmother, but legally the police's hands were tied, and if they had no solid evidence against Dawn and James, they had no reason to take the girl from them. Alyssa remained in her biological mother's care. With no other options, the police focused all their efforts on uncovering the truth. They needed evidence, something solid to act on. That's when they moved to the next step: surveillance. We conducted open surveillance, where we followed them and made sure they knew we were following them. We wanted them to see us following them. We wanted them to see us on the streets of the community where they were located to add pressure, the investigator recounted. When we started surveilling Dawn and James Matt Lane, we started hearing a little bit about them being in a relationship, which was denied initially, and the question arises, why was that concealed from us? Initial interviews at the house, they said they were never in love. We obtained surveillance video. We found out James was at the store the morning of the murder, so we know now his story changed. At first, he never left the house, and now we know he's out and about in the early morning hours of the night of the murder. What do you think I lied to you about? The detective asked. In that first interview, when I initially asked you if you left the house that night, you told me no. You made up a big story about how you watched movies all night, how you passed out on the couch, etc. You went on and on about it. Later, I found out through surveillance video that you were at 7-Eleven. We were finding holes in his story. Now we started digging deep into them, like, okay, if you're lying, what else isn't true? The detective said. Even with surveillance video as proof that James had lied about his and Dawn's whereabouts on the night of the murder, there was still not enough evidence to arrest anyone. All other evidence pointed to Melissa, who only wanted one thing, to be with her stepdaughter. Police didn't know where to turn next when, unexpectedly, a new voice emerged in the investigation, a voice that spoke louder than any other. Dawn's own teenage son and Alyssa's half-brother, Devin, walked into the police station, his face heavy with what he was about to reveal. He said he had something to confess, something extremely important he had seen at his mother's house the night before Ben's murder. All night, she kept saying that she wants Ben dead. Devin told investigators about Dawn's angry rants that night. She hated Ben for ruining her life, for making her pay child support, and she blamed him for taking Alyssa away from her. Then James, just out of the blue, kept saying, "You know what? I'm going to go kill him for you. Just give me the word, and I'm going to go kill him for you." And she just kept saying, "I just want him dead." Devin's account changed everything. Suddenly, the walls began to close in on Dawn. Even her boyfriend, James, turned against her, coming forward with chilling details about the lies, the motive, and how Dawn was the true mastermind behind Ben's murder. She was already yelling and raging about Ben, and I still care about Ben. She said, "I don't want you to care about Ben. I want you to kill Ben." "So you want me to kill Ben?" "So, yeah." With Ben out of the picture, Dawn would be rid of a $200 monthly child support payment and would gain custody of Alyssa. With Devin and James's testimonies, the cracks in Dawn's story were no longer cracks. They were gaping holes. Coming to terms with how Dawn had manipulated him all this time, James recounted exactly what happened on the night of the murder. He told investigators that he and Dawn were at the Oxley home on the night of February 21, 2008. Ben is walking down the hall. Dawn stops the fire and clears the way for him. She was in Alyssa's bedroom, and almost getting to the master bedroom, I turned and saw Dawn wasn't following me. I woke up to the creaking of the chair. I went in and dropped to my knees. The terrifying dark figure standing in Alyssa's room was her own mother, Dawn. Dawn asked for his actual institute, and I agreed to it, James said. At this point, James was ready. The shotgun felt heavy in his hands as he stood in the master bedroom. 2 rounds were loaded. Outside, Dawn hastily started the car. The engine hummed, ready for a quick escape. Slowly, he raised the shotgun, aiming it directly at Ben. I don't know how long I was standing there. Something happened. You flinched, and I pulled the trigger. I was injured. "Did you kill Ben?" the detective asked. He then aimed the gun at Melissa, his second target. His finger hovered over the trigger, ready to end another life. But then something shifted. It was as if a wave of hesitation washed over him. Without firing, he lowered the weapon, turned, and ran out of the room. Moments later, the sound of his footsteps faded as he rushed to the car, leaving Melissa and 6-year-old Alyssa alive. James's confession confirmed their worst fears about Dawn. Police were horrified that Alyssa had been in the care of her father's killers all this time. But the 6-year-old girl's loyalty never wavered. She knew Melissa was completely innocent and stood up for her when no one else believed her. She told the police about the shadowy figure she had seen that night, who turned out to be the mastermind behind her father's death, none other than her own biological mother. After Dawn and James were taken into custody, Alyssa was finally reunited with her beloved stepmother. Throughout the investigation, Melissa had fought for her stepdaughter, and she had been doing the same all this time. When Alyssa walked through the door of their family home, there was joy and happiness. But at the same time, being together again meant the pair had to come to terms with the magnitude of the loss of their husband and father and how to move forward as a new family. 4 years later, on January 31, 2012, stepmother and daughter finally prepared for the trial of Ben's killers, James and Dawn. Alyssa, now 10 years old, sat in the courtroom, watching the proceedings. In the 4 years since her father's death, the wounds she carried were deep, and her path to healing would be long. But at this moment, Alyssa knew she had to be strong, and fortunately, she had a great role model. Her stepmother, Melissa, took the witness stand, looking into the eyes of the man who had dealt them such a blow on that fateful night. She testified against James, the one who had taken everything from them. Emotionally, the damage you caused me is almost unbearable. For Alyssa, you destroyed her foundation and everything she knew to be right and true, she said. Alyssa's half-brother and Dawn's son, Devin, also stood up to confirm his testimony about his mother's involvement in the murder. In the 4 years since the initial arrest, Devin had left his mother's home and joined the army, and now, bravely, testified against her, telling the court about the terrible environment in which he and his siblings grew up due to her neglect and addictions. Dawn's parental rights to Alyssa were completely terminated, and she was officially incarcerated for numerous offenses, including probation violations, drunk driving, and domestic violence. However, with this solid proof that James was the one who actually pulled the trigger, the evidence against Dawn now seemed mostly limited to claims of conspiracy and manipulation, and the case became circumstantial. Dawn managed to gain immunity from the murder charge in exchange for her testimony against James, ultimately betraying their supposed original plan. James pleaded guilty to first-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Finally, Ben Oxley received justice, but Dawn escaped the murder charge. Instead, she was only sentenced on lesser charges, including probation violations, domestic violence, and drunk driving. She would spend years in prison but would eventually be released. Justice had been served, but not completely. For Alyssa, this was not revenge, it was healing. And now, with Alyssa by her side, Melissa finally had a chance to start over. For years, Alyssa Oxley's life had been shaped by loss, betrayal, and unimaginable tragedy. At just 6 years old, she witnessed the aftermath of her father's murder. She was forced to live with the very people responsible for his death. She was lied to about the woman who truly loved her, and yet, through it all, she never lost faith. When the trial ended, Alyssa had one last request that no one expected. She wanted to speak with James Matt Lane, the man who had taken her father from her, the man who had almost taken Alyssa too. I told him that I had chosen to forgive him, and that I want him to have hope, she said. Despite the tears, the grief, and the pain of losing her father, Alyssa, at 10 years old, found the extraordinary courage to forgive her father's killer. She had only kindness and love to give, even in the face of everything she had endured. This allowed her to begin her journey of healing and to start coming to terms with the tragedies she had experienced. Under the guidance and love of her stepmother, Melissa, the pair created their own unlikely family,